the train to Centerford was about to depart. That was the ride we'd spent our entire life savings, $30,000, to get a ticket for. I was gripping my mate, Byron Reynolds's, hand tightly, trying to pull him onto the last train to Centerford. This was the chance I'd waited 3 long years for. Once we entered Centerford, we could rise from being low-tier civilian werewolves to official Sylvan Talons workers, registered, salaried, and numbered. If we missed this train, we'd be stuck forever in Sidersville, a chaotic melting pot, never able to enter the heart of the werewolf city-state. But Byron held us back, refusing to leave without Lisa Peters, who was still down by the river, washing her face. In the very last second before the train took off, I had our friends forcibly drag Byron aboard. We made it to Centerford and became Sylvan Talons workers. But Lisa missed her chance. She was left behind in Sidersville and became a rogue, a plaything passed around by countless men. A few years later, she was tortured to death. Byron looked fine on the surface. But on the day of our marking ceremony, he drove a silver blade into my stomach, killing the pup growing inside me, and tore out my heart. His eyes burned red as he growled through clenched teeth, "This is all your fault. You're the reason Lisa never made it to Centerford. She suffered so much before she died. Why do you get to be happy?" After killing me, he chopped my body up and fed it to the stray dogs. Then I opened my eyes, and found myself right back at the train station, before it departed. This time, I'd wait with him for the woman he loved so much. And I'd make him pay for everything he did to me and my pup. Chapter 1. Hang on. Let's wait a little longer. I'm holding all the tickets. None of you are getting on that train without me, Byron Reynolds said with a voice as cold as ice, ignoring the anxious faces around him. Still reeling from my death and rebirth, I forced down the fear and anger bubbling inside me. I let go of Byron's hand and watched from the side with an indifferent expression. That ticket had cost us our entire savings, $30,000. And we'd waited 3 years for a shot at Centerford, where we'd finally be able to rise from being low-tier civilian werewolves to official Sylvan Talons workers, registered, salaried, and numbered. If we missed this train, we'd be stuck forever in Sidersville, a chaotic melting pot, never able to enter the heart of the werewolf city-state. Without a ticket, we couldn't even step on the train. This made everyone anxious. We've waited over 10 minutes. Is she messing with us? Someone asked. The train's about to leave. If we wait any longer, no one's getting on, another chimed in. Forget this. We need to go now. Byron, if you want to die here, fine, but don't drag us down with you. Hand over the tickets. But Byron stood tall, smug, completely unmoved. The arguing grew louder by the second. Someone even lunged at him, trying to snatch the tickets from his hand. But Byron lit his lighter and shouted, his face twisting in anger, "Don't touch me. If anyone comes closer, I'll burn all the damn tickets." Everyone froze in shock. No one dared make another move as fear and frustration filled the air. Are you insane? Don't be so damn selfish. If you want to wait for Lisa, go ahead. But why drag us down? Give us the tickets already. Still, Byron didn't budge. Someone lost their patience and charged forward. Byron dodged fast and held the flame closer to the tickets, eyes dark and furious. One more step and we all stay in Sidersville. We'll die here together. Everyone went still. No one dared take another step. Then Byron snapped again. You're the selfish ones. We're friends. We're supposed to leave together. How could you all think of abandoning Lisa? I'm holding her ticket. If we leave, what happens to her? When we first bought the tickets, we all handed our money to Byron. He was the strongest among us, so we trusted him to handle everything. After getting the tickets, we were worried rogues might try to steal them, so we let him hold on to them. Now, everyone was regretting that choice. Someone turned to me, panic in their eyes. "Bethany, please, get your mate on the train. We're running out of time." I lowered my head and stayed silent, hiding the pain in my eyes. In my previous life, I had our friends forcibly drag Byron aboard. We made it to Centreford and became Sylvan Talons workers. But Lisa missed her chance. She was left behind in Sidersville and became a rogue, a plaything passed around by countless men. A few years later, she was tortured to death. Byron looked fine on the surface. But on the day of our marking ceremony, he drove a silver blade into my stomach, killing the pup growing inside me, and tore out my heart. His eyes had burned red as he growled through clenched teeth, "This is all your fault. You're the reason Lisa never made it to Centreford. She suffered so much before she died. Why do you get to be happy?" It was then that I finally understood, he never loved me. The only one he cared about was Lisa. All those years of kindness were just an act. He had used me to climb the ranks in Sylvan Talon's factory, gaining my trust just so he could kill me and avenge Lisa. After killing me, he chopped my body up and fed it to the stray dogs. Then I opened my eyes, and found myself right back at the train station, before it departed. This time, I'd stay behind with him and wait for Lisa. And I'd make him pay for everything he did to me and my pup. Every wound, every betrayal, every drop of blood, he'd pay them all back in full. Chapter 2. You don't want to wait either. Byron frowned at me, his eyes heavy with pressure. I pushed down the hatred boiling inside me and looked at him calmly. "I'll wait with you." The others, seeing me take his side, instantly erupted in anger. "Bethany, can't you be a little more mature? This is our future. We're talking about. Are you serious? How can you side with him? If we miss our chance to get into Centreford because of this, who's going to take the blame?" Their complaints only made Byron more annoyed. He waved the tickets in the air and glared at them coldly. "Shut up. That's enough out of all of you. You're only getting into Centreford because of me. If you keep pushing it, no one's going anywhere." Then, seeing that I was still standing by his side, he gave a satisfied nod. "My mate knows what's up. You all could learn from her." I gave him a cold, silent smile. He really was good at playing the hero. He was acting like this was all thanks to him when that wasn't the case at all. I was the one who led everyone in working day and night, spinning thread, weaving fabric, and selling them all over just to save up enough money. That was how each of us managed to get $30,000 for those tickets. The only ones who didn't earn their tickets were Byron and Lisa. I had paid for theirs with the money I worked my hands raw to make. And in this life, they wanted to use me all over again. Not a chance. The deep rumble of the train came from ahead, like a death sentence echoing through the station. Our friend, Eric Tomlinson, saw the train approaching and suddenly snapped, "Damn it, Byron. Give me the damn tickets." He used to be a rogue. Getting into Centreford meant everything to him. He nearly worked himself to death for more than a month just to scrape together the money. Now, with time running out, he lunged at Byron, trying to grab the tickets. Byron dodged and held the lighter within a hair's breadth of the tickets. The edges of the tickets started to blacken. Everyone gasped, eyes wide in shock. No one dared to even breathe too loudly. Just then, a soft, girlish voice floated over. Byron. Lisa strolled in like she had all the time in the world, her pale face glowing with a lazy smile. She even pulled out a lipstick and touched up her lips as she walked. People started scolding her for being so slow. Lisa acted as if she hadn't heard a thing, flashing an innocent smile. Only when Byron saw her arrive did he finally put away the lighter. "All right, now we can all go." He handed her the ticket with a smile full of affection. Lisa took it, but not before giving his hand a squeeze, her eyes soft and full of emotion as she looked at him. My eyes darkened. In my past life, how could I have been so blind? How did I not see what these two were doing behind my back? I honestly believed they were just close like siblings. My father had been a warrior. He died in action during a mission, becoming one of our pack's honored heroes. My mother had gone into labor while hearing the news of his death. Her anguish caused complications, and she died from blood loss. I became an orphan. Byron's mother took me in. But I always knew the truth. They only adopted me for what they could gain. What they really wanted wasn't just my mother's weaving techniques so I could make money for them, it was the huge compensation given to the families of fallen warriors. That sum reached into the hundreds of thousands. I wanted Byron's love, so I chose to endure. Even when his mother barely gave me enough to eat or wear, beat me, cursed at me, and made me work like a mule, I took it all for Byron. I slaved away for 10 years, doing everything I could. Looking back now, I was such a fool. He never cared about me. He only saw me as someone to use, while I gave him my heart like an idiot, loving him for years. What a joke. Dying made me realize he never deserved my love. Maybe that was my punishment for loving the wrong person. Chapter 3. The sound of the train was getting closer, and Eric shouted anxiously, "Hurry up. Get on the train." Everyone snapped out of it like waking from a dream and bolted toward the train in a panic. Byron instinctively grabbed Lisa's hand and ran, completely forgetting about me, his so-called mate. "Bethany, can you run faster? You're slowing us down," Lisa snapped when she noticed me behind them. "I'm running as fast as I can," I said coldly. But what did it matter how fast I ran? The train doors were open, but since no one got on right away, the staff just closed them. Then the train sped up, leaving us no chance to catch it. Seeing we couldn't make it anymore, I finally stopped and called out, my voice loud but laced with frustration, "Stop running. It's too late." Everyone slowed down and came to a stop, eyes fixed on the train as it disappeared into the distance. A few women started crying helplessly. The ones standing with Eric wore hard expressions, anger practically radiating off their bodies. Someone stormed up and grabbed Byron by the collar. "You son of a, you happy now? Lisa, you just had to wash your face. Is it really that important to look pretty? Who the hell are you trying to impress?" Lisa's face went pale as she cowered behind Byron in fear. Byron, instead of calming things down, turned to glare at me. Then he slapped me across the face and threw all the blame on me. "Bethany, you told Lisa to go wash up, and you ran so damn slow. If you'd moved faster, we all could have gotten on the train." I touched my burning cheek, letting out a bitter laugh. 10 years, and no matter what Lisa did wrong, he always found a way to pin it on me. He treated me like dirt because he didn't love me. Luckily, I already knew how heartless he was. I'd already felt that pain once. Now, all I felt toward him was disappointment and hatred I'd never forget. "Yeah, it was Bethany's idea that I go and wash up," Lisa chimed in right away. She said we still had half an hour, and that even if I was late, everyone could just wait a bit longer for me. The others instantly turned on me, their eyes filled with fury, resentment, and disgust. "How could you? We treated you like a friend, and this is how you repay us. When did you get so cruel?" A few of the women couldn't hold back their anger. They surrounded me, yelling and cursing. One of them even dug her fingers into my arm. I didn't bother explaining. I knew they wouldn't believe me anyway. They needed someone to blame, and I was the easiest target. When I tried to leave, it only made them angrier. A few of them started hitting me. "This isn't just Bethany's fault, Lisa and Byron are just as much to blame. All three of them should take responsibility. Eric couldn't hold back anymore either and lunged at Byron. Byron fought back with everything he had. Lisa, terrified, tried to run. But another woman saw her trying to slip away and went after her, dragging her into the fight. Byron, furious at seeing Lisa get attacked, broke free from the men holding him and shoved the women away from Lisa, shielding her in his arms. No one stood up for me. I took every hit, and soon my face was bruised and swollen. They even pushed me close to the edge of a deep, dangerous silver mine pit. I scrambled away just in time. The pain all over my body made me grit my teeth, and I crouched down, hugging my head and trying to bear it. Everyone was seething. I sat in a corner, forgotten, while Byron held Lisa tight as she cried in his arms like a delicate flower drenched in rain. Boiling with rage, Byron pulled a silver knife out of his bag and shouted like a madman, "Stop it! If anyone lays another finger on Lisa, I swear I'll kill them." Chapter 4. Seeing that Byron had completely lost it, everyone finally quieted down. He gently patted Lisa's back to calm her, then barked at the rest of the group, "So what if we missed the train? I've got another way to get us into Centreford." Did you all have to get so worked up? The moment he said that, the hope that had died out in everyone's hearts lit right back up. In a few days, a special werewolf unit is passing through here. As long as we have letters of introduction, they'll definitely let us tag along to Centreford. I froze in shock. That was when I realized Byron had been reborn, too. In my previous life, there really had been a special werewolf unit that passed through Sidersville. I remember Lisa wanted to follow them to Centreford, but she didn't have a letter of introduction. "How do you know about that?" Eric asked, confused. "My dad's a pack elder," Byron replied matter-of-factly. "He's got solid sources. Plus, he's close friends with the Gamma of the Moonshadow Pack in Centreford. Just mention his name, and they'll let us through, no question. Trust me, I'll get you all in." Byron spoke proudly, even though his father was just a low-ranking elder in a rundown rogue pack. It was still something he clung to like it was worth bragging about. The group's expressions shifted, there was hope in their eyes now. Some even started apologizing to get back on Byron's good side. Lisa was still so shaken from the earlier chaos that her legs had gone weak. She leaned into Byron like she couldn't stand on her own. Byron just scooped her into his arms and walked off, completely ignoring me and the bruises on my face. I limped after them, bitterness weighing heavily on my chest. All those years, and I never once realized that his love for Lisa had always been so obvious. I guess I was just too blind and stupid to see the truth. Maybe that was why I died so early in my past life. As soon as Byron got home, he grabbed the first aid kit and went to treat Lisa's wounds. The pain from my own injuries was unbearable, so I went to find him for medicine. The door to the room wasn't fully closed, and through the crack, I saw Lisa nestled against Byron, crying like a poor little thing. "It hurts, go easy, please," she whimpered. Byron's face was full of worry. He gently dabbed at her wounds and carefully applied the ointment. "Are you mad at me?" Lisa asked in a soft, pitiful voice. Byron shook his head and gently stroked her hair. "No, I'm not mad. I know you just wanted to look pretty. I understand." As soon as she heard that, the tears in her eyes vanished. A smile spread across her face, and she leaned in and planted a light kiss on his lips. That soft, teasing kiss made him shiver. His breathing grew heavy. In the warm glow of the lamp, her pale little face was flushed, and her body shifted restlessly, like a mermaid twisting and turning in the water. He couldn't resist anymore. He pulled her close and kissed her forehead, eyes, nose, and finally, her lips that he'd longed for day and night. They collapsed together onto the bed. He couldn't wait to pull off her clothes. She arched her back, eagerly responding. His lips never stopped moving, his hands roaming all over her without a care. The sight made me sick. I backed away, clenching my fists and pounding my chest a few times to try and keep the rage from exploding. Inside the room, their passion only grew. Their breathless moans spilled out in bursts, and it felt like I could even hear their heartbeats echoing through the silence. I took deep breaths, trying to calm the sadness clawing at me. I knew I shouldn't be upset, but I couldn't help it. I had loved him, after all. And watching someone you once loved betray you right in front of your face hurts like hell. I told myself to forget it and just endure a little longer. This would be the last time I ever let him make me feel this way. Thank God I got to live again. Thank God I had the chance to stay away from trash like him. Later that night, Byron stood behind me in the room and said, "Bethany, once we get to Centerford, you and Lisa should switch identities." He made it sound like it was the most natural thing in the world. Why? I asked, plugging my nose to block the strong perfume smell coming off him. She's just a foster daughter. She'll never get the full treatment that comes with being a fallen hero's child. But if you give her your status, things will go much smoother for her at the Sylvan Talons factory. Her parents did a lot for my family. We owe them. He took my hand, coaxing me gently. Don't worry. Once you've swapped identities, I'll mark you right away. We'll hold the ceremony. I silently pulled my hand back. My face stayed calm, but my heart was already storming with rage. What a brilliant scheme. He was actually plotting to steal my identity. In my past life, I climbed my way up the Sylvan Talons factory thanks to my father's reputation. If Lisa took my identity, she'd get all the perks. And once she had her place secured, they could be together and kick me to the curb. I took a deep breath and forced a small smile, even though the pain was crushing my chest. "All right," I said softly. "Whatever you say." Chapter 5. When I agreed, he threw his arms around me, full of excitement. "That's great. I knew you loved me." Then he reached out and touched my face, apologizing softly, as if he actually felt bad. "I only hit you earlier because I lost my temper. Don't take it to heart, okay? Our family owes Lisa. Even if she makes mistakes, we should take the blame for her." I nodded obediently, swallowing the nausea rising in my throat. Anymore. In my last life, I must have been blind to have for a jerk who only had eyes for a pick-me. And worse, he hurt me time and time again, all for her. "You should put some medicine on your injuries. I've got things to do, so I'm heading out." He let go of me and handed over the first aid kit. I took it with a calm expression. He had time to treat Lisa's wounds himself, but not mine. His favoritism couldn't have been more obvious. What a scumbag. The next day, we returned to the train station. Everyone was waiting anxiously, clinging to hope. Meanwhile, I felt nothing. "Bethany, I notice you've been ignoring Byron lately. Is it because you're mad at him?" Lisa didn't even try to hide her relationship with him. She leaned all over him and looked at me with a smug little smile. I shook my head without saying a word. But she came over, grabbed my arm, and suddenly pinched it hard. The sharp pain made me flinch, and I instinctively shoved her away. She pretended to stumble and threw herself to the ground like she'd been pushed. Her forehead even hit the pavement and got scraped. "Ow! Why did you push me?" Byron rushed over, full of concern, and helped her up. His face was twisted in fury as he turned on me. "What the hell is wrong with you?" I looked at him, annoyed, and held my hands out to show I hadn't done anything. It was just another one of Lisa's little acts. But he didn't believe me. He raised his hand again, ready to slap me. This time, I dodged. I had let him hit me once, I wasn't going to let it happen again. I didn't need to. It's okay, Lisa said softly, gently grabbing his arm. Her eyes were full of tears, and she looked heartbreakingly delicate. She's probably just in a bad mood. Maybe she just didn't like seeing us being so close. Watching her cry only made Byron more pissed at me. He barked, "Cut it out. If you're gonna keep acting like this, you can leave right now." That was always his pattern, sweet and caring when he needed something, saying all the right things to win me over. But once things were fine, he'd flip, treat me like I was nothing, and curse at me. I'd gotten used to it over the years. I have a spot on that train. Why should I leave? I gave him a cold, mocking smile and stared him down without a care. Byron had always been a controlling jerk. Now that everyone was watching, he couldn't stand me talking back. His face turned red with fury. "You're getting real bold lately. I guess I've gone too soft on you." I crossed my arms, completely unfazed. I was honestly curious, what would they do when they realized they'd lost their spots to Centreford? "Don't get mad. It's not worth it," Lisa said softly again, trying to calm him down. Then she looked at me and tried to reason with me sweetly. "Don't upset Byron anymore. As his mate, you should try to understand him more. Men prefer women who are thoughtful and sweet. Just give in a little, and everything will be fine." Chapter 6. Watching Lisa pretend to be all sweet and gentle made my skin crawl. I couldn't hold it in anymore and snapped, "If you're so understanding, then why don't you be his mate? I'll gladly step aside." Lisa's face fell instantly. She glanced nervously at the others around us. Before this, everyone just assumed the two of them were close because they were like siblings, so it didn't seem strange. But now that I'd said it out loud, people were starting to connect the dots. The mood turned awkward, and everyone stared at us like they were watching a show. "You're jealous again. How many times do I have to tell you?" "Lisa and I are just close friends," Byron said, completely unfazed. "Why are you always so petty and suspicious?" Then he grabbed Lisa's hand right in front of everyone, not even trying to hide it. "She's younger. Of course, I need to look out for her. You should be more understanding." Everyone exchanged looks. It was obvious that something wasn't right here. But no one said a word. They needed Byron's help too much to call him out. "Stop picking on Lisa," he warned. "And if you keep acting out, when the special werewolf unit gets here, I'll tell their captain to take your name off the list." I couldn't help but laugh. He really thought he was something, didn't he? The only reason he could even get into Centreford was because of my father's name, and here he was, shamelessly boasting. Right then, a big truck came roaring toward us. Everyone perked up at once, waving and shouting to get its attention. Was more excited than anyone, waving with all her strength. The truck came to a stop, and the crowd rushed over. "Officer, we missed our train," Byron said, stepping forward with a letter of introduction. "My father was a close friend of your Gamma. We're all children of pack heroes who died for the werewolf clans. Please, let us ride with you to Centreford." The officer gave us a once-over, clearly unsure. "All of you are children of fallen heroes." Byron nodded quickly but glanced at me out of the corner of his eye, probably afraid I'd call him out right there. Lisa suddenly said, "Yes, sir. Randy Hart was my father. We all have letters. Please let us come along." She turned on the waterworks, launching into her little performance. If I didn't know better, I'd think my father really was her biological dad. People started giving me strange looks, trying to figure it out. After all, she was known as my father's foster daughter. Most of them knew she was just trying to pull strings, but since it might help get us on that truck, no one called her out. The officer took the letter in Byron's hand and began reading it. "Randy was really your father. Lisa nodded furiously and even cried harder, though there was a calculating glint in her eyes. Yes. He loved me the most. I just want to visit his grave and pay my respects. Please take me with you. If my father knew, he'd be so grateful to you from the other side. Watching her cry like her heart was breaking, the officer softened. With sympathy. After my father died, he was buried in the Pack Heroes cemetery. Using his grave as an excuse to gain pity. Lisa sure knew how to play the game. The officers started talking amongst themselves. They all knew my father. He died during a major mission, and the fallen warriors from that mission were all honored as werewolf heroes. His story had been told many times. After a quick discussion, they seemed to come to a decision. The lead officer's tone grew friendlier. Well, if that's the case, then all of you, but before he could finish, I stepped forward and cut him off. Lisa, are you really Randy's daughter? Her face went pale, and she blurted out without thinking, of course. Byron immediately stepped in front of me, his face dark with warning. He'd clearly realized that I was backing out of our identity swap deal. Don't mess around right now. This isn't the time for your drama. Chapter 7. The officer stepped in and pulled Byron aside, staring at me with a puzzled look. What do you mean by that? I turned to Lisa and gave her a calm, unreadable smile. Why don't you tell him yourself? Are you really Randy's daughter? Lisa's eyes filled with panic. Afraid I'd expose her, she hurried over and clung to my arm, speaking to the officer pitifully. I'm Randy's foster daughter, and Bethany is his biological daughter. We've depended on each other for years. Byron was furious that I was backing out of the plan last minute, but with the officer there, he couldn't say much. He forced an awkward smile and quickly agreed. That's right. They're sisters. He even pointed to the forged letter he made for Lisa and acted like everything was perfectly legit. The letter was already approved. Some of our friends, worried things might fall apart, chimed in to smooth things over. She really is Randy's foster daughter. That's how she got the letter. Yeah. Lisa and Bethany are like real sisters. It's getting dark. Please let us get on the truck. I was speechless at how they were all covering for her, but I understood. No one wanted to risk getting kicked out just because of her. I pulled my arm away and stepped back, putting some distance between me and Byron and Lisa. The officer noticed right away and turned to me. You're Bethany. I nodded. Then get in. I gave him a small smile and walked toward the truck. Byron and Lisa tried to follow, but the officer blocked their way. I've never heard of Randy having a foster daughter. Their faces instantly turned ugly, eyes full of panic. They opened their mouths to explain, but the officer cut them off sharply. Don't even think about lying again. Or I'll drag you both to jail. Panicked, they didn't know what to say. I stood by the truck's entrance and gave them a faint smile. Our other friends glanced at each other and fell silent. Since I hadn't acknowledged Lisa as part of my father's family, no one wanted to stick their neck out to defend her now. Oh, by the way, officer, her letter really was approved, I suddenly said. Everyone turned to stare at me, shocked I'd speak up for her. Byron and Lisa's faces lit up with relief. But I just gave them a deep, knowing smile. I hadn't confirmed Lisa was my father's foster daughter, I only said the letter was real. Since I wasn't fighting them on it, the officer let it go and waved them onto the truck. The truck started moving. Byron took advantage of the noise to mutter a few curses at me, but I ignored him completely. So he and Lisa sat side by side, sighing dramatically like they'd just survived some huge disaster. I watched the two of them cuddle and act all lovey-dovey, but inside, I was already crafting my next move. At first, I'd planned to stop them from getting into Centerford, but that would have been too easy on them. Even if I did block them, Byron would have found another way in. So instead, I'd bring them in myself. I'd let them think they were finally getting everything they wanted before taking it all away, smashing their dreams when they least expected it. When we arrived in Centreford, everyone looked around with wide eyes, curious and amazed. Lisa was thrilled. She dragged Byron from one place to the next, excitedly pointing things out. That looks so pretty, and this smells amazing. Wow! I want everything. Byron didn't hold back, grinning indulgently. Sure. If you like it, we'll buy it. Then he turned to me, completely shameless. You're paying. I couldn't help but laugh, staring at him. Like he was out of his mind. His father had given him spending money every month, but he burned through it so fast he never had anything left. I don't have any money, I said flatly. There was no way I'd play the sucker again. Chapter 8. I know you've got money. Don't make me tell my dad to cut off your living expenses next month, Byron threatened me outright. When I didn't give in, he even reached for my wallet, trying to snatch it from me like a total coward. Come on. We still need to check in. Let's not buy anything, Eric said, noticing the tension and pulling Byron back. Our other friends quickly stepped in to help smooth things over. Seeing the mood shift, Lisa gave up on shopping too. It's fine, Byron. Let's not get it. Her understanding made Byron even more protective of her. Stingy little tightwad, he muttered, glaring at me as he walked off with Lisa in tow. Lisa turned back to shoot me a smug look. She didn't say a word, but I clearly saw the shape of her lips. Skank. My eyes darkened. The real nightmare was just beginning. We'd see who would get the last laugh. When we got to the Silvern Talons factory, Lisa cut in front of me in line to hand in her letter of introduction. Afterward, she leaned close to my ear and whispered smugly, "Didn't expect your dad would actually come in handy. Too bad he's dead and can't enjoy any of it." I stared at her with ice-cold eyes and hissed, "You'll regret this." She raised a brow and asked innocently, "Regret what?" I didn't respond. Then she lifted her wrist to show off her necklace, flaunting it in front of me. "Byron bought this for me. You know why your allowance's been so low every month? It's because Byron's been spending it all on me, getting me clothes, jewelry, everything. He says women should be spoiled and pampered. He said I deserve to be taken care of. I guess you don't even count as a woman." And just like that, everything clicked. I used to wonder why my living expenses from the elders were always so little. It turned out Byron was taking a chunk of it behind my back to spend on Lisa. No wonder she always had new clothes and shiny jewelry. It was all funded by my father's money. And the compensation left behind after my father died? Already long gone, spent by their whole family. Ha! What a bunch of leeches. And Byron, spending my father's death benefits to pamper another woman. What a joke. My hatred for him grew deeper. Lisa, seeing how furious I looked, only smiled more smugly. While all this was going on, the fabric master from Silvern Talons was still checking Byron's letter, his face showing a flicker of doubt no one noticed. Byron kept glancing my way, tense and guarded, like he was worried I'd cause a scene. Just then, a group of reporters showed up outside the factory gates. Since today marked the arrival of new recruits, the media had come to cover it. The moment Byron and Lisa saw the cameras, they rushed over to get some attention. The reporters, seeing how pretty Lisa was, quickly turned their cameras on her. Lisa gave them a sweet smile and struck what she thought was her best pose. Then she introduced herself confidently. "Hi, everyone. I'm the daughter of the pack hero, Randy Hart." The moment they heard my father's name, the crowd buzzed with excitement. Randy Hart. Isn't he the one who took out over 10 rogues on the battlefield? and then sacrificed himself by rushing into enemy lines with explosives to save the Alpha King? Yeah, that's him. She's Randy's daughter. Suddenly, everyone looked at Lisa with admiration. Lisa even managed to squeeze out a tear, her voice full of emotion. Since I was little, I've always dreamed of coming here to visit my father. I never thought the day would actually come. From now on, I'll work hard and serve the pack well. Byron stood proudly at her side, chest puffed up like he'd done something heroic, too. When he noticed how cold and distant I looked, he purposely turned to the people nearby and said, loud enough for me to hear, "That's right. My dad is a pack elder. He worked so hard to help everyone get into Centreford. If it weren't for him pulling strings with the special werewolf unit, we, the children of fallen heroes, would still be stuck in Sidersville forever." Every word was about how we owed everything to him and his father. Then he shot me a warning look, reminding me to keep my mouth shut. Chapter 9. Our friends who had come with us to Centreford weren't happy about what was happening, but they all chose to stay quiet. No one wanted to risk going against an elder. After all, their families were still back in Sidersville. Eric looked furious, like he was about to say something, but in the end, he shut his mouth. I knew his mother was still in Sidersville. Crossing an elder would only make life harder for her. Byron, on the other hand, walked with his head high, even more arrogant than before. Just then, a reporter walked over and held a microphone up to me. "Hi, there. Which Pack Heroes family member are you?" I had just opened my mouth when Lisa stepped right in front of me, blocking me from view. In a corner where no one could see, Byron grabbed my arm tightly, silently warning me to keep quiet. I knew exactly what Lisa was trying to do, use my father's name to gain attention and respect. She wasn't satisfied with being just a foster daughter. She wanted the full honor of being a hero's real daughter. I stepped forward, but Byron yanked me back and suddenly softened his voice like he was being sweet. "Bethany, be good. I promise I'll marry you. Just let this go, okay? Once Lisa settles into her job at the factory, we'll hold the marking ceremony." The reporter looked confused as he glanced between us. "She's our friend from Sidersville," Lisa explained casually, lying without blinking. "She's just a little shy and doesn't like the spotlight." The reporters, hearing that, didn't press any further and turned their attention elsewhere. Gave a small smile and stayed silent, letting them continue their little show. The higher they climbed, the harder they would fall. Thinking I'd given in, Lisa went on bragging in front of the camera without holding back. She started telling stories from my childhood like they were hers and painted herself as Randy's real daughter. Just as she was getting into it, the Sylvan Talon's fabric master walked over, face dark with anger. Behind him were several furious-looking werewolf guards. I couldn't help but feel a little thrilled. The real show was about to start. The fabric master stormed up to Lisa, his voice sharp and furious. "Shut up. You're not even related to the pack hero. How dare you give an interview like this?" Lisa froze, completely panicked. Byron started to freak out as well. He immediately looked at me, eyes full of silent questions. I raised an eyebrow and smiled. The look on his face shifted, like something had clicked, but he still kept his cool and turned to the fabric master. "Sir, you must be mistaken. All our information is in the introduction letter, and we have gone through all the necessary procedures." The fabric master snorted and held up the letter. "This letter is fake. You two have some nerve, faking your way in and pretending to be the family of fallen heroes." Byron and Lisa went pale, the fear written all over their faces. Everyone around us gasped. The reporters, sensing a scandal, quickly turned their cameras toward the two of them. "No. I really am related to a hero. I'm Randy's foster daughter," Lisa blurted out, trying to fall back on her adopted status. Byron, stubborn to the end, still wouldn't admit defeat. That letter's real. Someone's just trying to frame us. But the fabric master wasn't buying it. His face was cold, his voice firm. Enough. The military already ran an investigation. You had a mate, but you cheated on her with someone else. That's disloyal and disgraceful. Then you tried to use your connections to get into Sylvan Talons. That's pure greed and selfishness. The moment Lisa heard there had been an investigation, she trembled all over and her legs gave out. If Byron hadn't grabbed her, she would have collapsed right there. I didn't. Byron and I are just close friends. You've all misunderstood, she cried, terrified. Byron turned and glared at me, pointing a finger like he'd just found the real problem. You set us up. You forged that letter, didn't you? Wow. Just wow. Even now, he still wanted to throw me under the bus. Chapter 10. I let out a cold laugh, my expression calm as I replied, who do you think you are? Why would I forge a letter for someone who has nothing to do with me? She's not my dad's daughter. You love her, fine. But making me take the fall for her over and over? That's not very nice. The reporters all looked stunned. So you're Randy's real daughter? I nodded firmly. The reporters, suddenly understanding the truth, gasped in shock. So it was just two lowlifes. Scheming together. The fabric master had run out of patience. He turned to the werewolf guards he'd brought and gave them a sharp nod. Take them away. They'll be handed over to the higher-ups and locked up. The werewolf guards stepped forward immediately and grabbed them both. Let go of me. Byron struggled, trying to get free. Lisa, terrified, finally lost her composure and burst into tears. It wasn't me, it was all Byron's idea. I didn't do anything. Byron's eyes widened in disbelief, shocked that Lisa was blaming everything on him. Lisa, how could you say that? Lisa didn't dare meet his eyes. She bit her lip and forced herself to speak. I didn't want to at first. But he said he loved me and begged me to come along. The moment she said that, Byron looked like he'd been hit by lightning. Even the friends who came here with us were stunned. The worst kind of teammate is the one who turns on you when things go south. Lisa was exactly that kind of person, clueless and cruel. He actually fell for someone like her. When trouble hits, she's the first to bail. Byron completely broke down. His eyes turned red, and he looked like he was about to cry. He probably never expected the woman he loved for 2 lifetimes would betray him like this. Lisa, you're such an idiot, he shouted at her, furious, trying to lunge toward her, but the werewolf guards held him back. Lisa shrank away, trembling with fear, then added with a tearful voice, I'm sorry you forced me. Ago, they were all over each other. Now, they'd turned on each other completely. You damn traitor. You filthy liar. Byron snapped and started screaming, tossing away any shred of affection he had for her. Thank goodness the guards were holding him back. Otherwise, I honestly think he might have killed her. Even as they dragged him away, Byron kept trying to defend himself. You can't arrest me. I didn't forge anything. Even if her letter was fake, mine's real. I'm the family member of a fallen hero, I'm Bethany's mate. I let out a mocking laugh and raised my voice. Do you really think I'd still marry you after all this? He froze for a second, then tried to act confident again. You love me. You'll forgive me. I shook my head and walked up to him slowly, my voice steady and sharp. I don't love you anymore. I died once because of you, what makes you think I'd still love you after that? The wedding's off. His eyes widened in shock, pupils shrinking before they grew large again. He was completely stunned. No one else around us knew what I meant when I said I'd died once, but Byron and I did. And now, he was terrified. Genuinely terrified. No, let me explain. I didn't mean for things to go like this. He kept talking, stumbling over his words, completely falling apart. But no matter what he said, I wasn't going to believe him. He was done, absolutely done. I'm sorry. Please don't take me to jail. Please, I'm begging you. Let me go. Lisa was still crying and begging for mercy as the werewolf guards dragged her into the vehicle. Byron, on the other hand, had stopped begging. He knew it was pointless now. He looked completely defeated, head hung low as he was led away by the guards. They would be taken to the werewolf court and face the harshest punishment. Sentencing would come soon. Chapter 11. The people around me looked at me with a bit more sympathy now. Some came over to offer kind words and told me to try to let it go. But I had already let it go. Byron and Lisa's revenge still wasn't over. They probably never realized that I was the one who called the reporters in the first place. I was also the one who secretly reported their forged letter and exposed Lisa's true identity. After the drama ended, my friends and I entered the factory without a problem. During the day, I worked hard. At night, I wrote detailed reports. For years, Byron's family had taken over my land, my house, and my compensation payments. They always told people they were raising me out of kindness, but the truth was, they'd been living off the money left behind for me. Even Byron's father had been living in my house all this time, while he sold his own property and quietly kept the money. I also knew about the bribes and shady things he had done. I listed everything clearly. A few months later, one of the fabric masters at Silvern Talons told me the Gamma wanted to see me. I went straight to the office. When I opened the door, I saw a middle-aged man in a military uniform standing by the window. I knew who he was. I'd seen his face in one of my father's old photo albums when I was a kid. In my past life, he had taken care of Byron and me quite a bit. "Hey, Uncle Tucker," I greeted him politely. Tucker Anderson had been my father's closest friend, his brother-in-arms on the battlefield. In my last life, because of me, Tucker had supported Byron a lot, helping him rise in rank. So this time, to make sure Byron's father got the punishment he deserved, I handed my reports directly to Tucker. As a Gamma, he had the power to act. "I read everything you wrote, pup. You've been through a lot," Tucker said gently, his voice full of guilt. I could tell he felt he'd failed my father and let down someone who had given his life for the pack. My nose stung a little, but I gave him a small smile. "It wasn't that bad. All I want is justice." Tucker nodded and stepped forward, giving me a firm pat on the back. "You'll get it. I won't let your suffering be for nothing. I've been busy with work all these years and didn't have the chance to look after you like I should have. I thought Byron's family would take care of you, but I never imagined they were lying to me. You have my word, they'll pay for what they did." With Tucker stepping in, the investigation moved quickly. The truth came out. Byron's family had taken compensation meant for the child of a fallen warrior, stolen my land and house, and abused me, all while pretending to care. It was shameful. And that wasn't all. Byron's father had abused his power over the years and committed multiple crimes. Everything they'd done was made public. Byron's father was stripped of his title as an elder and sent to prison. With help from Tucker, my house and land were officially returned to me. 5 years later, I became a well-known businesswoman and was invited back to Sidersville to invest in new projects. Sidersville had changed a lot. Even though it was home to werewolves of different bloodlines, under the leadership of the new elder, everyone lived in peace. There were no fights, no wars, no lingering resentment. Everyone worked together to make the town a better place to live. After inspecting the area myself, I decided to go ahead with the investment. Once work was done, I had dinner with Sidersville's new elder. While we ate, he brought up Byron and Lisa. Oh, by the way, those two became rogues after getting out of prison. They stayed together, though. I blinked, a little surprised. If no one had brought them up, I would have forgotten all about them. I couldn't even remember what they looked like anymore. Good for them, I guess. They loved each other back then, and now they finally got to stay together. That was something, at least. Chapter 12. The elder let out a long sigh, clearly helpless. Byron is completely ruined. He's out of his mind every day, drinking, fighting, nothing else. He always gets drunk and rambles on about being some kind of factory manager, even claiming the Gammas like his brother. After he and Lisa marked each other, she still betrayed him. Byron's been drowning in the pain of heartbreak ever since. These past few years, Lisa got pregnant 3 times. But every time she was about to give birth, Byron beat her until she lost the baby. One time, he even gave a stillborn to a witch to use as a catalyst for forging a magic weapon. I stayed calm. I'd known for a long time that those two would never end up happy. After saying goodbye to the elder, I left. When I got to the train station, I unexpectedly saw 2 figures I recognized but barely remembered. It was Byron and Lisa. Byron's hair had turned completely white. His back was hunched, his clothes filthy and tattered, there was nothing left of the arrogant man he used to be. Lisa walked beside him. Her clothes, though not torn, were old and wrinkled. Her face was covered in pockmarks, a far cry from the girl who once cared so much about her looks. Hurry up. If we're late, all the cheap meat will be gone, she urged Byron. But he walked slowly, and he even had a limp in his left leg. Oh, I heard Bethany came back. You want to go see her? Too bad she wouldn't even give you the time of day now. The moment she said my name, Byron froze in his tracks. He whipped his head around and shouted at Lisa, "Shut up. Don't ever mention her again. Scum like me deserves to be stuck with trash like you for life." Lisa bit her lip hard and sneered coldly, "Ha. Then. We'll be stuck forever. Like anyone else would want a loser like you." They kept cursing at each other like they were trying to spit out every nasty word in existence. They hadn't noticed me standing there. Just as they were getting ready to leave, Byron suddenly paused, as if he sensed something. He looked up and spotted me. Our eyes met. He panicked immediately, feeling like he wanted to crawl into a hole and disappear. Lisa followed his gaze and saw me as well. Her expression twisted in an instant. Fury flared in her eyes, and she charged straight at me. "You! This is all your fault." I frowned and turned to walk away. But she caught up and shoved me hard. I was lucky to grab onto a nearby tree to steady myself. "It really is you. You must be happy now. Look at what you've done to me." I stared at her calmly and said firmly, "You're wrong. You did this to yourself because of your selfishness and greed." Lisa just laughed bitterly, eyes filled with hatred. She raised her hand to slap me. "No, it's all because of you." Just as her palm was about to land on my face, Byron rushed in from behind and grabbed her. The two of them fell into the grass. Byron slapped her hard and yelled at her to stop causing trouble. That finally shut her up. I stood there, frowning as I watched the whole scene. Byron looked up at me, his face full of regret and frustration. "You saw that this is what my life's become. In my previous life, I traded away years of my lifespan to a witch just to come back and find the woman I loved. But in the end, it was all a cruel joke. I regret everything. If I could change, do you think we could go back to how things were?" I was just about to reject him when Lisa snapped out of her daze and slapped him across the face. Byron reacted quickly and slapped her back. Then the two of them started brawling right there in the grass, throwing punches like they'd never stop. I didn't want to watch anymore, so I turned and walked away. I knew Byron's rebirth came from a deal he made with the witch, trading his own life for another chance. But my rebirth was something else. A witch had asked the moon goddess for a second chance on my behalf, as a form of compensation. My father had saved that witch before, and she never forgot it. When she found out I'd been murdered, she used everything she had to give me a second life. I also knew Lisa never truly loved Byron. So I asked the witch to place a curse on them to bind them together forever. I'd always be grateful to that witch. Later on, I heard that Byron and Lisa kept betraying each other, but they couldn't break their mate bond, so they were stuck in a constant cycle of pain. One time, Lisa got so fed up with being beaten that she walked into the house with a knife and sliced off Byron's manhood. Then she found another man outside and even got pregnant. Enraged, Byron stabbed her in the heart with a silver blade, chopped up her body, and fed it to the dogs. When the man who got her pregnant found out the baby was gone, he went after Byron for revenge. Byron was beaten to death, and that man was locked up for life. When I heard about how they ended up, I felt no sympathy because I had finally avenged my unborn pup. Years passed, and I let go of the hatred and pain. The darkness from those days was finally gone. I was finally at peace.